Have you ever rehearsed asking for a raise 100 times in your head but never actually did it? Ever felt your stomach drop when you even think about walking into your boss's office to talk about your salary? If you're here right now, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. That paralyzing shame that shows up every time you think about asking for what you deserve. And I need to tell you something important. This isn't about being humble or grateful for your job. This has everything to do with deep beliefs you have about your own worth. Let me paint you a picture of how this plays out. You've been at your company for 3 years, you know you're good at what you do, your coworkers come to you for help, your projects always succeed, you've taken on way more responsibilities than when you started, you look at job postings for similar positions and realize you're being paid way below market rate. You know you deserve more. But every time you think about scheduling that meeting with your boss, something inside you freezes. You start creating excuses. Maybe it's not the right time. The company just went through budget cuts. Your boss seems stressed. Maybe you should wait until the end of the quarter. But deep down, you know the truth. You're not waiting for the perfect moment. You're avoiding the conversation because the thought of asking for more money makes you feel like you're being greedy, ungrateful, or worse, like you're not actually worth what you're asking for. The shame shows up in different ways. Sometimes it's that voice in your head saying, "Who do you think you are to ask for more?" Other times it's the fear that your boss will think you're entitled or difficult. You imagine the conversation going badly, them saying no, and then having to face them every day after being rejected. The anticipation of that rejection feels so unbearable that it's easier to just stay quiet and tell yourself that at least you have a job. What you're experiencing is called money shame, and it's deeply connected to your sense of self-worth. Somewhere along the way, you internalize the message that asking for money is selfish, that wanting more makes you a bad person, or that your value is tied to staying small and not making waves. Money stopped being just money and became intertwined with your identity and worthiness as a person. This belief system usually gets formed way earlier than you think. Maybe you grew up in a household where talking about money was taboo, where people who asked for raises were seen as ungrateful or pushy. Maybe you watched your parents struggle financially and learned that wanting more was somehow disloyal to their sacrifice. Or maybe you picked up messages from society that good people don't chase money, that being humble means accepting whatever you're given. Let me tell you about Jessica. She's a marketing manager at a tech company, been there for 4 years, consistently exceeds her targets, mentors junior team members, basically does the work of someone 2 levels above her. Her male colleague, who started the same year, just got promoted and now makes 30% more than her. Jessica knows this because salaries accidentally got leaked in a company-wide email. But even with this information, even knowing she's being underpaid for the exact same work, she still can't bring herself to ask for a raise. Jessica's shame runs deep. She grew up watching her single mom work 3 jobs and never complain. Her mom always said, "We should be grateful for what we have and don't rock the boat." Jessica internalized that asking for more would make her ungrateful, would dishonor her mom's sacrifices, so she works harder instead, hoping someone will notice and offer her a raise without her having to ask. But months go by, nothing changes. Meanwhile, her resentment builds, her motivation drops, and she starts looking at her work with bitterness instead of pride. Jessica doesn't have a salary problem, she has a worthiness problem that's showing up in her finances. She's literally leaving thousands of dollars on the table each year because she believes that her worth as a person is tied to being low maintenance and not causing problems. Every day she doesn't ask, she reinforces the belief that she's not worth fighting for. And you know what the cruelest part is? While you're staying silent to avoid feeling uncomfortable, your company is perfectly comfortable underpaying you. They're not lying awake at night worrying about whether you're being fairly compensated. And the longer you wait, the bigger the gap becomes between what you're making and what you should be making. Your silence isn't protecting you from anything. It's just costing you money. But here's the truth you need to hear. Asking for a raise isn't greedy, it's not selfish, it's literally just business. Your company pays you in exchange for the value you provide. If that value has increased, which it probably has, then the compensation should increase too. The shame you feel isn't based on reality, it's based on old stories you've been telling yourself. The way out starts with separating your worth as a person from your salary negotiation. You're not asking your boss to validate you as a human being, you're having a business conversation about fair compensation for the work you do. When you frame it this way, it becomes less emotional and more practical. You're not begging, you're presenting a case for why your compensation should match your contribution. Start documenting your wins. Write down every project you've completed, every goal you've exceeded, every extra responsibility you've taken on. Get specific with numbers and results. When you walk into that conversation with concrete evidence of your value, it's not about whether you're worthy, it's about what the data shows. And data doesn't feel shame. Practice the conversation out loud, not just in your head where you can spiral into worst-case scenarios, but actually out loud. Say the words, "I'd like to discuss my compensation," until they don't make your voice shake anymore. The more you practice, the less power the shame has over you. And here's the most important thing. Decide right now that you're worth fighting for, not because of what you do, but because you're a human being who deserves fair compensation for your labor. Your company will survive the conversation. The only person who's really suffering from your silence is you, and every day you wait is another day you're telling yourself that you're not worth it. But you are. You absolutely are. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt too ashamed to ask for a raise even though you knew you deserved it? If what I'm describing has happened to you, drop an "I feel this way" in the comments. You'll realize you're not alone. And if you want to understand more about how money shame is controlling your career and your finances, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. In the next video, we're going to talk about why you feel guilty every time you spend money on yourself and how this is keeping you broke. See you then.